ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणी भगवती अष्टादशाध्यायिनी अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी. So the Yajna, Dana, Tapa, which were mentioned in the 17th chapter, they all have to be performed with a sattvic attitude. That sattvic attitude was comprehended by the term Sattvika Shraddha. And remembrance of the Lord becomes a very essential aspect in its completion, in its perfection, and to bring about its fulfillment. So thus, performing, one gains the necessary purity of the mind, and only for such a person there is this eligibility for Brahmajnana. In order to show this, in order to bring this to our attention, that only for such a person. So Bhagavan presented the other two, the Rajasika and the Tamasika. So Rajasika Yajna, Tamasika Yajna. He also presented Rajasika Tapas, Tamasika Tapas, Rajasika Dhyana, Dana, Tamasika Dana. And by the way, also Bhagavan also spoke of Sattvika, Rajasika and Tamasika Ahara. Is it audible? So, that also was presented in order to show how that human mind tends based on its nature. So this food becomes dear if our mind is like that. That food becomes dear if our mind is like that. So Bhagavan had shown. That also he brought to our attention to say that in every facet of life you will find the sattva, rajas and tamas, they percolate. And one should help the mind move from tamas, rajas and come to sattva. And only for that person there is the eligibility for Brahmajnana. So this was how Bhagavan presented. And note at the end he said, even that sattva to be truly fulfilled, to be truly completed, what is required? Bhagavat Smarana is required. Om Tat Saditi Nirdeshaha. Now, coming to the 18th chapter. This 18th chapter is the total summary of the Bhagavad Gita. Is it not? Because Bhagavad Gita is ending now. So Bhagavan has to present all the important aspects of this wisdom, what he presented in the whole Bhagavad Gita, which in turn is what? Is a summary of all the Upanishads, which in turn is what? Is the presentation of the entire Vedic wisdom. Karma, Upasana, Jnana, Tatpada, Tvampada, and that Aikya, Asi, the meaning of that Asi. So, this entire Bhagavad Gita, Shastra, Upanishad Shastra, Veda Shastra is now presented very succinctly in a sangraha manner, in a summarization manner, and that is what we have as the 18th chapter. Now, when we say summarization, what are the essential summarizations, essential aspects covered? Tyaga and Sannyasa, these two words about which Arjuna is going to ask a question. Tyaga and Sannyasa, they both have the same meanings. They both have the same essential artha, shabdartha, padartha. And Arjuna is asking about Tyaga and Sannyasa in the context of him. In the context of a mumukshu, a seeker, who requires to purify the mind and who is as a grahastha engaged in action. So, Tyaga and Sannyasa, they both have the essential meaning identity. Second, that's the first topic. Second, what has to be renounced is Kamya and Nishiddha, karma. That's the second. And the third, coming to the Nitya and those actions which had to be done, Yajna, Dana, Tapa, which are all in the category of Nitya. Yajna, Dana, Tapa. Naimittika, of course. So this Nitya in the category of Yajna, Dana, Tapa have to be necessarily done. That's the third topic. Third topic or third aspect. And this Tyaga, Sannyasa, which have been spoken of as being one in the context of Arjuna, that Tyaga is of the nature of sattva, meaning sattvika, rajasika, tamasika. So that is a fourth essential thing. Then you come to the fifth. Jnana, karma, karta, buddhi, dhriti, sukha. Jnana, karma, karta, buddhi, dhriti, sukha, all of them seen from the context of sattva, rajas and tamas. So all of them are sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Then, the duties of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, all, meaning the duties of all. What are those duties? Then, performance of duties leads to the purity of mind. And for that purified mind alone is knowledge. So that is the next topic. So what was it? Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, meaning all their duties. And by that is the topic number 6, right? Topic number 7 is what? Through that performance, that mind which has gained the purity, for that is knowledge. As the next topic. So knowledge for a mind which is purified through the performance of action. Then for such a person who has gained that knowledge, you have the jnana nishtha. Then the method of, the manner of knowing that highest reality, Paramatman. The manner of knowing that Paramatman, the highest reality. Then the attainment of that reality, Brahma Prapti. In other words, these and many more, these are all the essential. So these 10 topics, what we, have you got this 10 number? Yes. These 10 topics, which are all prime and essential, and the rest of all, whatever is required also to be covered, everything is presented in the 18th chapter in a very, very summarization way. So in the Bhagavad Gita, you have the presentation of the essentials in chapter 2. You have the essentials presented in chapter 18. So in chapter 2, what? That is, the whole Bhagavad Gita is going to be, So therefore, a summarization at the beginning of the nature of what all is to be presented. And then you have a summarization at the end of the nature of what all has been present. You see? And then you also have a summarization in chapter 15, saying that this is the iti guhyatamam shastra you have in 15. And then also the very essential Vedantic Upanishadic wisdom. That is also presented, if you see, in chapter 13. In chapter 13, from verse 1 to verse 18, you have the whole thing presented. So that way, in different places of the Bhagavad Gita, you find various types of summaries. One is summary in prospect, another is summary in retrospect, summary of the essentials, summary of the essential technique, 13th chapter. So you have various kind of essential summarizations all through spread in the Bhagavad Gita. Now coming to the 18th chapter, the 18th chapter starts with a question of Arjuna. Here again you see how Arjuna is asking a very pertinent question. This question is based on the usage of the word Sannyasa and Tyaga by Bhagavan in various contexts throughout the Bhagavad Gita. Now when we talk of Sannyasa and Tyaga, we are talking of Sannyasa and Tyaga with respect to the sadhaka of the nature of Arjuna. to which we all belong to also. We are not talking of that sannyasa, which is of the nature of, what is called as a Mokshasannyasa. Mokshasannyasa would be of the nature of Vividisha sannyasa and Vidvat sannyasa. Now Arjuna, in the context of Karma Yoga, in so many places, Bhagavan has used this word Tyaga, used the word Sannyasa. In the context of that Karma Yoga itself, Bhagavan has used. For example, verse number 30 of 3rd chapter. Mayi sarvani karmani sannyasyadyatma chetasa, where the renunciation of all actions is spoken of. Mayi sarvani karmani sannyasya. Now you go to 12th chapter, verse 6. Ye tu sarvani karmani mayi sannyasya matpara. 12th chapter 6, right? So here again, Bhagavan speaks of the renunciation of all actions. Now, go to just giving some examples, there are plenty more. 9th chapter, verse number 28. Sannyasa Yoga Yuktatma Vimukto Mamupaishyasi. So here again you have sannyasa. Now, so in so many places Bhagavan has used the word sannyasa. Now see the word Tyaga. Verse number 20 in chapter 4. Tyaktva karma phala sangam. So you have Tyaga. Now look at another verse for Tyaga. Verse number 11 of chapter 12. You see. Sarva karma phala tyagam tatah kuru yatatmavan. So sarva karma phala tyagam. So here again you have the word Tyaga. So in so many places Bhagavan has spoken about sannyasa and also used the word Tyaga. So Arjuna looks at this coverage of Bhagavan's usage of these words, sannyasa and Tyaga, with respect to him. And Arjuna is asking this question, what we are going to see now. Because unless there is that, to understand what Bhagavan has taught, there should be clarity of these expressions which Bhagavan has used. Otherwise, what one would understand would be different. And therefore, in order to see whether there is any difference, and if there is any difference, to please state. So Arjuna is addressing this question. Alright? So let us read the
Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Adhashtadashodhyayah Mokshasannyasa Yoga. Arjuna Uvacha Sannyasasya Mahabaho Tattvamichhami Veditum Tyagasya cha Rishikesha Pradhakkeshi Nishudana Arjuna Uvacha Sannyasasya Mahabaho Tattvamichhami Veditum Tyagasya cha Rishikesha Pradhakkeshi Nishudana.
So, Hrishikesha, Keshinishudana. You have two Sambodhana, you have two. Arjuna is addressing Bhagavan Krishna, two. Keshinishudana, Hrishikesha. Hrishikesha, you know, Hrishikesha is Lord of the senses and mind. Keshinishudana. So, Keshinishudana refers to, Keshinishudana? On the name of one Asura who came as a horse, sent by Kamsa. So, one who killed that Asura. So, Hrishikesha from the Nirguna standpoint, Keshinishudana from the Saguna Avatara standpoint. So, Bhagavan the what who is Ishvara, and finally the what who is the pure consciousness, both the Saguna as well as Nirguna. Well, those are the expressions by which he has called Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Now coming to the question, Sannyasasya, Tyagasya cha, Prutak Tattvam, Veditum Ichami. This is a question. So, hey Hrishikesha, hey Keshinishudana, those are Sambodhanas. Now, what is the main question? Sannyasasya, Tyagasya cha, Prutak Tattvam, Veditum Ichami. The main question. Sannyasasya. Sannyasa Shabda Arthasya. The meaning of the word sannyasa. Then, Tyagasya. The meaning of the word Tyaga. Tyaga Shabdarthasya. Cha is for both of them. Cha is that samuchaya, coming both of them. Prutak Tattvam. Prutak Tattvam. Tattva is what? Tattva is a nature, true nature. So, Prutak Tattvam. Prutak Tattvam is, these words have been used and employed so fully everywhere throughout your exposition of the Bhagavad Gita. Now, I would like to know their difference. Prutak Tattvam. Now, Arjuna wants to know this sannyasa tyaga from his context. Please keep that in mind always. He is not asking a theoretical question. What is sannyasa? You give some. And what is tyaga? Bhagavan, you have employed these words to tell me that I must engage in action. Right? That is what you have. N number of times you have spoken. Any time I have said that maybe I can try that out, give up action, you said no. Whether it is the 3rd chapter or whether it is the 5th chapter, or even when I wanted to go into the Nirguna totally, in a different way when I approached in the 12th chapter, there again you said. So I fully understand clearly what is it that you want me to do. You want me to engage in Karma Yoga. In your exposition of Karma Yoga, I find these two words are used, sannyasa and tyaga. These words, what do they mean? Are there, is it different? Are their meanings different? So that way, Arjuna is asking in the specific context of he, the mumukshu, the seeker, who is to engage oneself, himself, herself in Karma Yoga. And therefore, he is restricting the usage of this word in his context. That you have to keep in mind. Like how, suppose we speak of brahmacharya. Right? We speak of brahmacharya. Now, when we are speaking of brahmacharya, let us say we reduce the context of brahmacharya and then we say, For a grahastha, what is brahmacharya? Suppose we say, then what happens? It is looking at that particular term in a certain context. And therefore, whenever we speak about brahmacharya for the case of grahastha, we don't say brahmacharya is not practiced by the grahastha, but how do we say that grahastha brahmacharya? We say the getting together only for the sake of progeny. So you see how the meaning of brahmacharya is brought. And that is a Shastra way also. It is not something which is simply made up. No, it is a Shastra presentation. So, in the same way, yes, Sannyasa and Tyaga are well-known words. Now, when you explain to me Karma Yoga, and you use these words, Sannyasa and Tyaga, what are their different truths? Please explain to me. Now, the point is that if you see, as you see Bhagavan, Shri Krishna's presentation, he is showing what is the essence of Tyaga and Sannyasa with respect to a Karma Yogin, and he uses the word Tyaga and Sannyasa interchangeably. That is because the word Tyaga and Sannyasa, whether it is used in the Vedika context or whether it is used in the Laukika context, they both mean the same. Now, for example, for Vedika context, let me give you one mantra which you all know because we have studied that. Na karmana na prajaya dhane na tyage na eke tyage na ike. So tyage. Amrutatvamanashu parena nakam nihitam guhayam vibhrajate datyatayo vishanti vedanta vijnana sunishchitartha sannyasa yogat yataya shuddha sattva. So you find Tyaga, Sannyasa, both of them are used in the same, but in the same meaning. Now, if you take a Laukika context, a normal whatever we speak, so Maya idam sannyastam, Maya idam sannyastam, I have given it up. Now, the same, Maya idam tyaktam, that also means giving up. Whether you use the root tyaj in order to, from which the word Tyaga comes, or whether you use the word sam plus ni plus as to throw. Finally coming to the word sannyasa, what finally it means is the giving up. So, giving up is the meaning of both these words, but Arjuna's question is that he wants to know the tattva of this giving up. Giving up, whether Tyaga, Sannyasa. If you want to know another meaning, Sanskrit word for Tyaga, Sannyasa, there is one more word called Visarga. Visarga is giving up. This word Visarga had come before also. Right? Where is that? In the 8th chapter it had. Bhuta bhavodbhavakaraha visarga karma samnita. Where visarga is where you offer that. In that yajna you offer the ahuti. So there that, yajnat bhavati parjanyaha, parjanyat. How does it start? Annad bhavanti bhutani, parjanyad anna sambhavaha. Anna sambhavaha. Then yajnat bhavati parjanyaha. Yajna karma sabudbhavaha. Karma brahmodbhavam. The chapter it goes. So there the context is of Daiva Yajna, where you offer that ahuti, where you offer, where you give up, where you visarga. So visarga is Tyaga. Visarga is Sannyasa. So there's another synonym for it. So given that Sannyasa and Tyaga, they have essentially the same meaning of giving up, but Arjuna, Bhagavan takes up this question of Arjuna, wherein he says, what is the tattva that he tries to answer? Not that he tries to answer, what is there for Bhagavan trying to answer? He answers that. And by using the word Tyaga and Sannyasa, Bhagavan is showing that these words mean the same. The words don't matter. The meaning, what you have to understand, is deep. And that is what Bhagavan tries to give for Arjuna, the clarity. Okay? Now let us now go to the Bhagavan's answer. How this Tyaga or this Sannyasa, both of them which mean giving up, how different people in the context of action, that is what is important for Arjuna. In the context of action, how they give variety of meanings to this Tyaga or Sannyasa, this word. And therefore, to understand the tattva of this Tyaga, of this Sannyasa, Bhagavan shows the variety of understanding of this Tyaga or Sannyasa, how people have, in the context of action. Okay? Now, Shri Bhagavan Vacha.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha. Kamyanam karmanam nyasam. Sannyasam kavayo viduhu. Sarva karma phalatyagam. Prahustyagam vichakshanaha. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. Kamyanam karmanam nyasam. Sannyasam kavayo viduhu. Sarva karma phalatyagam. Prahusyagam vichakshanaha.
All right. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. Kamyanam karmanam nyasam sannyasam kavayo viduhu vichakshanaha sarva karma phalatyagam. Tyagam prahu. So now you see. Kamyanam karmanam nyasam. Kamyanam. So you have karma, Nitya karma, Naimitik karma, Kamya karma, Nishita karma, etc. You have. In that, what do they say? Kamyanam karmanam. Kamyanam karmanam. Those karma which have got, which are rooted in desire. Now, if you take those, for example, those Nitya karma, Naimitik karma, Kamya karma and all, so you have those statements which are very specifically stating that for the one who is desirous of this, for example, Jyotishtomena Swarga Kamo Yajeta. Darshapurna Masabhyam Swarga Kamo Yajeta. Pashu Kamaha, Praja Kamaha. Like that, for different desires, fulfillment of desires, certain specific activity is prescribed by the Shastra. Now, from the ritual context, right? Now, we also know from the Laukika context how desire can prompt a certain action. That is well known to us. Now what Bhagavan says, Kavayaha viduhu, Kavayaha viduhu, Kechit Kavayaha viduhu, Kavayaha vidvamsaha, the Kavis. Now Bhagavan is not stating his teaching now. That teaching will come a little later. First he is presenting the various opinions on the matter of what is sannyasa and tyaga. Sannyasa and tyaga used synonymously with respect to the question, with respect to the point of giving up. So when I'm using sannyasa, I'm using tyaga. I'll be using it interchangeably because that is how the word is. Sannyasa and tyaga is used interchangeably, and Bhagavan has also all the while used interchangeably. And using the same way interchangeably, what Bhagavan is trying to provide is to what is the tattva of this giving up. That is what Bhagavan is trying to provide. So therefore, while coming to the tattva of it, first Bhagavan is presenting the various opinions of others. Before coming to from his standpoint and what is the Shastra standpoint and what is the true standpoint of what is this giving up, expressed by the word sannyasa and tyaga, right? Expressed by the word sannyasa and tyaga, sannyasa or tyaga, it doesn't matter. What is that essential is going to come later. But now he says, kechit kavayaha. That kechit is to be understood. Kavayaha viduhu, vichakshanaha prahuhu. The learned people, there are many. Some of the learned people, the scholars, those who have inquired into this topic, and those who are able to see a little more deeper, what are they saying? They are saying, Kamyanam karmana nyasam. So nyasam, tyagam, all mean same. What do they say? Among the varieties of activities, giving up those kamya karma, which have got a specific material result in mind, because they pollute the mind, because they cause more and more bondage, because they take you into samsara. Therefore, what do they say? They say the giving up of kamya karma, which means other karmas are retained. The giving up of those desire prompted activities is what is called as renunciation, is what is called as giving up. So that is opinion number one, or thought number one. And what is thought number two? Sarva karma phalatyagam prahu tyagam vichakshanaha. Vichakshanaha. Vichakshanaha, again it comes from the root chaksh, to see. The word kavi also means, kavi is those who see, one who sees little beyond kavi. Vichakshanaha, those who are learned, those who see little more deeper. Vichakshanaha, the intelligent, the panditas, the wise, the knowledgeable. In a general way, these words are used. Not that they are used in the sense of brahmajnani or anything like that. So vichakshanaha, meaning kechit vichakshanaha, some of them, what do they say? Sarva karma phalatyaham prahuhu tyagam. They say, not the giving up of karma, not even kamya karma. No. What are they saying? They are saying, sarva karma phalatyagam. You take up any activity, it doesn't matter. Nitya, naimittika, kamya. We are not talking of nishiddha, okay? Nitya, naimittika, kamya. You take up any of the activity, but in that activity, the focus should be where? The focus should be in giving up the results. in giving up the results. So Kamya karma also, but you give up the results. Why should then one do? See, that is all your objection. You keep your objections apart. Now we are studying objectively what they are telling. They are saying, you take up any activity, but give up the desires. Now, sarva karma phalatyagam prahuhu. This is what they say. They have their own reasons. So you may say, you may have an objection. Why should one take up a kamya karma? If you give up desire, then why did you take it up? See, one may take it up, but if one does not have desire, then the kamya karma is no more kamya karma. Okay, let me give an example. Now, you have this Ekadashi Vrata, is it not? Ekadashi Vrata. Now, this Ekadashi Vrata can be treated as Nitya Karma and can also be treated as Kamya Karma, technically. How, Swamiji? Now, if you have with the Ekadashi Vrata a desire associated, a Punya for gaining a higher world, then what happens? That Ekadashi Vrata becomes a Kamya Karma. But if that desire is not there and you are doing it only for Bhagavat Preeti, love of God, then what happens? It moves from its Kamya Karma nature is gone. Okay? So that way, one can remove desire out of Kamya Karma also and perform Kamya Karma. Now remember, we are objectively trying to understand what they are saying. Okay? We are not looking into the merits and demerits of it, because what Bhagavan's answer is going to come, that is going to be what we have to study in depth. Okay? So, sarva karma phala tyagam prahustyagam vichakshanaha. Now, okay, we understand how Kamya karma, we can take out Kama and then how they would want us to do it. Now, what about sarva karma phala tyagam? That means what? There is a karma phala for every karma. Even Nitya karma, Naimitika karma. Now, if you take the way the Shastra presents, you will see the way the Shastra presents Kamya karma and Nitya karma is little different. And therefore, traditionally there is an inquiry whether Nitya karma has got phala. And the definition of Nitya karma is given as akarane pratyavayaha. If you don't do it, there is pratyavaya. What is pratyavaya? Pratyavaya is a sin of omission. Sin of omission. If you don't do it, there's a particular sin. It's called sin of omission. So, akarane pratyavayaha. Now, look at the statements which speak of Kamya karma in the Veda, and look at those statements which speak of this kind of Nitya karma in the Veda, and you see there is no fruit pointed out. One may think. So, I'll just read out some lines just for your, Yaha Pashukamaha Syat. One was a Pashukama. Pashukama, cattle wealth. Cattle wealth. Pashukamaha Syat Sayetam Prajapatyam. So Prajapatyam, that person is supposed to do a yaga called as Prajapatya. Pashukamaha. Now, you already know, I had quoted few more lines. Jyotishtomena Swargakamo Yajeta. That is Pashukama, what we saw. Jyotishtomena Swargakamo Yajeta. So these are all what Swargakamaha. One who is desirous of Swarga, meaning that is the Kamya phala. Jyotishtoma should be performed. Now Pashukamaha, Prajapatya should be performed. So these are all statements which enjoin the Kamya karma. Now, if you take statements which speak about Nitya Karma, for example, Agnihotra is a Nitya Karma, Sandhya Vandana is a Nitya Karma. Now, there you will not find these kind of statements. These kind of statements, you will not find these kind of fruits prescribed. Example, Ahar Ahar Sandhyam Upasita, daily perform your Sandhya Vandana. It's a Nitya Karma. Meaning, daily perform your Gayatri Japa. That is what it's what it. So, Ahar Ahar Sandhyam Upasita. Ahar Ahar Yajamanaha Swayameva Agnihotram Juhoti. Daily, that person, he performs the Agnihotra. Now, here, you don't have the specification of the result, you see. In other words, does Nitya Karma have its result? Or is Nitya Karma only for being free of Pratyavaya? So like that, in the Mimamsaka Shastra, because we are studying this, a lot of discussions they happen on that. But then the Vedantin says, Nitya Karma also will have a result. Example, Karmana Pitrulokaha. See? That is only the performance of Nitya and Naimitika Karma. Karmana Pitrulokaha is there. Or Dharmena Papam Apanudati. By Dharma or Tapas, so many Yajna, Dana, Tapas, they also become Nitya Karma. Tapasa Kalmasham Hanti. In other words, Nitya Karma also has its results of providing you Punya. It's not that Nitya Karma only is for removal of Pratyavaya. Yes. But Nitya Karma also has got its result of Punya, of higher worlds. And therefore, what is said here, Sarva Karma Phalatyagam Prahu Tyagam Vichakshanaha. So the giving up, be it Sannyasa, be it Tyaga, whatever the term you use, the first opinion is what? Giving up only Kamya Karma. Now the second opinion is not just Kamya Karma. Even Nitya Karma, Naimitika Karma, everything has got Karma Phala of the nature of Punya. Even Kamya Karma, you give up the desire, you give up that Kama, and then you perform. Then when you perform that way, that Phala which will give you bondage is not there. And you can avoid, of course you can avoid Pratyavaya. And therefore, opinion number 2 of some other learned people is what? Sarva Karma Phalatyagam. Only the Phalatyaga of all karma. So 2 opinions you have seen. Kamyanam karmanam nyasam sannyasam kavayo viduhu sannyasam tyagam kavayo viduhu sarva karma phala tyagam tyagam sannyasam sarva karma phala tyagam prahustyagam vichakshanaha. So 2 opinions are done. Now let us go to the next. What do others say?
Tyajyam doshavadityege karma prahurmanishinaha yajna dana tapah karma natyajyamiti chapare Tyajyam doshavadityege karma prahurmanishinaha यज्ञदानतपः कर्म न त्याज्यमिति चापरे.
All right. So, त्याज्यम दोषवत इति एके कर्म प्राहुर मनीषिणः. कर्म दोषवत त्याज्यम. इति एके मनीषिणः प्राहुः. So, eke manishinah, some of those knowledgeable people, what are they saying? They are saying the whole karma, lock, stock, barrel is to be renounced. Karma tyajyam. What is the reason why they are saying Doshavat? They are all endowed with dosha. What do you mean they are all endowed with dosha? They are all endowed with dosha because all karmas have problems. All karma. Their opinion. Even the so-called Vedic karma, Nitya, all those things you are speaking, all of them, even Kamya, everything should be lock, stock, barrel given up. Why? They are all Doshavat. They are all with dosha. Doshavat, Doshavan, is it not? That neuter. Doshavat, karma is neuter. So, Doshavat, it has to be given up. They're all karma is constituted from, it's material, it's through material it is done. And even some Vedic karma and all those things, some of them which you call Kamya karma and all, they've got himsa. They hurt and pain other creatures. Avi சொரிந்து ஆயிரம் வேட்டலின் ஒன்றன் உயிர் செகுத்து உண்ணாமை என்று திருக்குறள். So, performing great yagas where so many creatures are destroyed. Far better than all those things is what? Don't eat any creature. ஒன்றன் உயிர் செகுத்து உண்ணாமை நன்று. Don't eat any living creature. Meaning all those creatures were. Like that. Meaning, what are they saying? The entire karma is to be given up. Tyajyam Doshavat eke karma prahur manishya. Now, this is the view of the Sankhya school. So, here we have a clear identification of what the school is. Sankhya school. Now, the Mimamsaka school, what do they say? They say, Yajna dana tapah karmam na tyajyam iti cha apare. So, yes, you may drop all kinds of action. That is not. But you see here, these should not be dropped. Yajna, dana, and tapaha. That should never be given up. You all know what is Yajna, dana, tapa because we studied that in the earlier chapter. Right? So, Yajna is a worship of the deities, worship of the Lord. Yajna. Daiva Yajna comes also as part of the Panchamaha Yajnas. Yajna worship. Dana. Dana is the charity, which also we have studied in the earlier chapter. Tapaha. Tapaha again we have studied. Right? Now one important meaning of the word tapa is Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya tapa ityuchyate. So, Yajna, Dana and Tapa should never be given up. And thus, Yavad Jivam Agnihotram Juhoti. As long as one is, one should perform that Agnihotra, which comes under Yajna. Kurvanneveha karmani jijivishe chatakum sama evam tvayi na anyate tosti na karma lipyate nare ishavastya. So what is this? They say yajnadana tapah karyam na tyajyam iti cha apare. So this is the fourth. What is the first one? Kamyanam karmanam nyasam. What is the second one? Sarva karma phala tyagam. What is the third one? Giving up all karma. Because all karmas will have some defects of the other. And what is the fourth one? Yajnadana tapah karma na tyajyam. This should not be given up. Okay? Now, let us go to the next one. What is the next one? Now Bhagavan says, look, let me tell you. After presenting all the opinions, now Bhagavan says, now let me explain to you. And now Bhagavan takes up the topic. And he details from here onwards. So from here, you have the answer of what is the tattva of sannyasa or tyaga. Both of them in the sense of giving up. And now in the context of karma, in the context of karma yoga, which Bhagavan has prescribed for Arjuna all through the Bhagavad Gita. And therefore, it becomes our sadhana. So in the context of our sadhana, what is the giving up? Okay? Nishchayam
शृणु मे तत्र त्यागे भरतसत्तमा त्यागो हि पुरुषव्याघ्र त्रिविधः सम्प्रकीर्तितः निश्चयं शृणु मे तत्र त्यागे भरतसत्तमा त्यागो हि पुरुषव्याघ्र त्रिविधः सम्प्रकीर्तितः.
Now Arjuna, you have seen the different opinions on this matter, right? Tatra, in this question, Tatra, in that question of that giving up, what you asked, Tatra, Tyage, Sannyase, giving up, Tyage, me Nishchayam, that what is that final truth of it? You had wanted the tattva you had wanted. Now that tattva, that nishchayam, that tattva, that ascertainment, me shrunu, I shall explain to you, now you understand. Now Bhagavan uses two words for Arjuna here. Bharata sattama purusha vyagra. Only you will use two words for me or what? I will also. Bharata sattama purusha vyagra. Bharata sattama, best among the Bharata clan, Bharata dynasty. Bharata sattama. Purusha vyagra. Not only Bharata, but you are the best of all, the tiger of human beings. Meaning best among the human beings. Hey Bharata sattama, hey Purusha vyagra. Now, why he is calling Arjuna by these two names in order to get his attention. Whenever you want to catch somebody's attention, you call them to pay their attention. Arjuna is listening, but now Bhagavan is saying, I am going to tell you now you listen. Tyago hi purusha vyagra Trivida samprakirtitaha. This tyaga, this sannyasa, you can see it from from the standpoint of sattva, rajas and tamas, trivida. And naturally, what is that tyaga, what is that sannyasa which Bhagavan is going to recommend for Arjuna as the very truth of tyaga sannyasa? That is going to be the sattvic. Right? Nischayam shrudume tatra tyage bharata sattama tyago hi purusha vyagra trividaha. It is of three types. Samprakirtitaha. In this way, the Shastra has the Shastra, the wise, the truly wise, they have expressed this tyaga in a threefold manner. Please listen to that. But before that, let me tell you, Yajna, Dana and Tapa should never be given up. And I shall tell you the reason also. Pavanani Manishinam. They cause for enormous purity of the heart. So we'll take it up in the next session. So now the answer begins. This question of Arjuna is considered, is very, yes, it is very, but people have very different kind of thinking also. What is this question? As we study, I shall explain to you what are the different takes. Different people have different takeaways on this question.